6 up-and-coming claims managers. 6 ambitious candidates. All with one aim, to be crowned Claims Apprentice 2019. It's day 2 of the Claims Apprentice, and having decided on their team names, the candidates meet Kennedy's senior partner Nick Thomas to find out about the first challenge.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Kennedy's. Your first task is going to relate to 2 issues which are very big in the insurance industry at the moment. One is healthcare, and the other is technology. And be prepared to debate this afternoon in which you will each try and persuade the audience that the ethics and the risks of professional negligence arising in respect of bringing AI into the healthcare spectrum. Off you go and prepare.
Challenge set. The teams have 3 hours to prepare an argument for and against the motion of whether the associated litigation risks should prevent the use of AI in medical treatment. Team Fortitudo wins the toss and decide to argue against the motion.
Yeah, I was going to initially come in and say, give that definition of what is artificial intelligence. I'm going to then acknowledge that while skeptics would suggest that AI is going to take over the world and replace humans as the dominant decision makers on the planet, we believe that the benefits are just too great to ignore.
So I'm going to just go through the ethical element, so GDPR compliant, how all that fits in with it, data integrity, so there's the increased risk, but it just needs to be managed, and we need to make the industry and patients aware of how the data is being collected, how it's being stored, how it's being shared.
Mine's going to be sort of drawing parallels between the sort of healthcare and then driverless cars, because that's where the sort of precedents are being set and the discussions are being had about where liability attaches.
Meanwhile, Team Discovery also works hard on how they're going to argue for the motion.
I mean, I'm happy going first.
You had something quite punchy to start with, as well, didn't you? So that makes sense.
Yeah, AI is the technology of the future, but is it the technology of the now?
I'll do the loss of information,
Yeah.
then GDPR, protection of data, and then going into legal liability.
Right.
And I don't know if that links with your next point at all.
Yeah, so I'll go then on to economic downturn,
Right.
Okay.
and then loss of jobs and funding for it, and then it'll be linking it back to the insurance impact that we have already mentioned at the beginning, and then just the ending of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then it's kind of like a rhetoric thing. So then, because we'll be opening this, and then when it's the other team, and they're trying to say why it is good, all they'll be playing in their minds is, oh yeah, it might be good, but is it good now? So then it's kind of keeping it, you know, a fresh idea in the mind.
That sounds strong. Yeah.
A bit of sabotage.
The time has come, and the teams enter the room for the debate to be chaired by Kennedy's Deborah Newberry.
Welcome and thank you for coming along tonight for a debate on what I hope will be a very interesting subject. What this House is interested in is the application of AI in the context of clinical care. Can or should the medical duties that apply to humans apply to machines? Now, with that in mind, on my right is Team Discovery, and they're going to be arguing for the motion. The team is made up of Tosin, Dom and Verity.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So AI is implemented in many areas in society globally, and it is a technology that's coming more into fruition. But we believe that although AI is good and automation is a good process that we need to be following, it isn't for the more complex areas of society.
Just picking up the idea of cyber attacks again, if you think back to just 2 years ago when the NHS had their massive cyber attack, it was debilitating enough at the time, but can you imagine how much worse it would have been if AI had been involved? So not only do you lose data, which means when one person wants to go into the GP, there's a problem because, oh sorry, we can't access your records, but the entire system would crumble if you were to remove that data.
There's 1.5 million people employed by the NHS in the UK. on an average salary of $26,000 a year. We lose this and we have a huge economic downturn. The clinical care industry is such a fundamental industry in our society. It saves lives and it reproduces. AI does have its place in society, but it doesn't have its place in the clinical care industry at this time.
So thank you very much. I have some questions from the audience that I would like to put to you. The first is that in regards of the employment issue in the NHS, we also have a huge shortage of nurses. Could AI not assist that problem?
With regards to the nurse's role and maybe more the administrative side of things, we could then apply, the skill and the complexity of the roles to that area, so that they'd be able to free up the time, so that in fact the AI will be looking after the admin and the just data collection side of things, and the complexity of everything would be able to be picked up by everyone else.
Next up, Team Fortitudo argues against the motion.
So perhaps while sceptics might argue that AI is going to take over the world and potentially replace humans as the decision makers on the planet, we believe that the benefits are just too great to ignore. AI has been involved in medical treatment already for 30 years and can help healthcare professionals make much more comprehensive and inherently more successful decisions.
Obviously we'd have the government who would introduce a lot of strict guidelines around how the data is both stored and shared. So there'd be a process to establish a best practice and identify suitable ways of publicly sharing this data. Over time, we'd like to think that the artificial intelligence would protect patients and medical professionals as it develops over time.
It's definitely sort of a work in progress. We're not there yet, but if any country's going to do it and set up this legal framework, surely it should be the UK. We've got the best and most admired legal system in the world, arguably, so we should be the ones that pioneer that and come up with the solution that everyone else sort of follows and tries to replicate.
One final question that has just come in, which is that surely an AI is no more intelligent than its creator. How, therefore, can it be more effective than a human?
Although at this stage it might not be as far developed as we'd like, as it gets more and more information, it builds and then it becomes very, very complex and something that we can rely on but might not necessarily understand exactly how it's working, but it's doing the job.
Yeah, effectively there's too many iterations for humans to supposedly understand. I guess through the test and learn phase, so to speak, you would just trust in the results that it's delivering, that it was or could be potentially better than its creator.
So who have you been persuaded by? Is it Team Discovery, who is saying that there's a place for AI, but just not yet when it comes to healthcare? Or is it Team Fortitudo, who are saying that AI is ready and willing to take a really prominent place in the healthcare setting? With that in mind, can I please ask for everyone to please vote, and then we will find out which team has persuaded you.
Both teams have said their piece, and it's now time for the people in the room to vote.
Okay, so I am delighted to confirm that we have a winner, and that is Team Fortitudo. The audience voted for you by 53%, so it was a close win, but you are the winners from this evening's debate. Thank you very much.
Voting done, Team Fortitudo narrowly picks up its first victory.
Both sides were able to present really quite a persuasive argument, and it was clear that they were quite nervous, and I think all of them in their own right sort of began to get into their stride as they went along. I think there are a couple that are probably standing out as being maybe a little bit more confident than others, so it'll be really interesting to see as the week unfolds as to who continues to shine.
I think it was a tough first challenge, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Coming in, lots of new to filming, coming into an environment like this, you've got endless
All the spectators as
yeah,
well.
everyone's sat in front of you.
A whole audience judging us.
So yeah, very relieved. I think it was a tough first challenge.
Debating over, the apprentices head off to get some rest before the next challenge, while they'll take another step closer towards one of them being crowned the Claims Apprentice 2019. Coming up next time on Claims Apprentice.
Each come up with a day-long programme.
I feel like we've got this in the bag. I think when we're in there, we'll just know what we're on about.
So we're just going to ask you to draw a picture of a doctor, draw a picture of a nurse.
But in these circumstances, we have to pick a winner. And so the winner is...